Alright, in this video, we're going to go through on the Raffles Girls Primary School Weighted Assessment 2, Mathematics Primary 4. Okay, so let's get started on the first question. First question is, what is the mixed number represented by A? So we have A pointing to this line over here in between 2 and 3. Okay, so we know this is in between 2. So the whole number that we know should be number 2. So it's just what is the fraction. So mixed number is basically like, for example, 2 something out of something. So this is what we call a mixed number. Okay, so now we will calculate how many spaces are in between 2 and 3. So let's put down the number of spaces. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, nope, not 5, huh? 4, right? 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we know that A is pointing at number 5, as what you see over here. So that means our numerator should be number 5. Okay, so we put 5 out of. So what do you think the denominator is? Do you think it's 7? So if you think the answer should be 2, 5 out of 7, then sadly you are wrong with a sad face, right? Because if we were to say this answer, 2, 5 out of 7, if we were to put here, for example, this is B, right? In this case, then how would you represent this range over here, right? This B, right? So you might be saying, oh, it must be 2, 7 out of 7, which is also wrong because 2 out of 7, which is 3. But is this 3? No, it's not. So that means this is the denominator is not out of 7. So what do you think it is? It should be, you guessed it, number 8. Okay, so we need to put in that 5 over 8 because once we reach number 3, so let me just erase this first over here. Okay, so we have 6, 7, and this should be 8 because if we were to reach over here as B, then this should be 2, 7 out of 8. And this does not mean that this is a whole number 3. It is still 7 out of 8. So that's why our answer should be 2, 5 out of 8. Right? So this is a trick question, but make sure you know how to do this. Okay, next question. Arrange the fractions in increasing order. So you have 1, 5, 9, 15, 7, and 1, 2 over 3. So what does increasing means, right? What does increasing means? So increasing is basically saying from low to high or from smallest to biggest, right? So we need to start with the smallest fraction. So here we just put here smallest, right? The smallest fraction over here. And then after that, we put here biggest. Okay. So we just need to know what increasing order means. Okay. So out of these 3 fractions, which is the smallest? Okay. You might be thinking, oh, is it 15 out of 7? No. So you need to make sure that you want them to be in a form that you can, compare. So 15 out of 7 over here is an improper fraction. So we need to make it into a mixed number. So 15 out of 7 is actually, if you were to divide 15 divided by 7 is 14 because then this is a multiple of 2. Then this gives us remainder 1. So this will give us 2, 1 out of 7, right? And then this 1, 2 out of 3. So now we know that from just making 15, 7 or 15 out of 7 to the mixed number, we know that 15 out of 7 is 2 whole number, 1 out of 7. So that means the biggest number is actually 15 out of 7. Okay, so we can in a way ignore this, right? So now out of these 2 numbers, 1 5 over 9 and 1 2 over 3. Which one is the bigger one? So you could see that there is the number over here, the denominator 9 and the denominator 3. So what is the common multiple, common factor between them, right? Or lowest common multiple. So can 3 times something be equal to 9, right? So if you guessed it, 3 times 3 is equal to 9. So if we multiply the denominator by 3, then the numerator can be multiplied by 3, which is 6. So this 1 2 out of 3 is equal to 1 6 over 9. So now out of these two fractions over here, 1 6 over 9 and 1 5 over 9, which one is the smallest? So if you say 1 5 over 9, you're right. So we put here 1 5 over 9. Okay, let me put this in black. So it's consistent. 1 5 over 9. And then the other one is 1 2 out of 3. Okay. So this should be your final answer over here. All right. So let's move on to the next question. Subtract 3 out of 5 from 7. So what does from 7 means, right? So essentially when you see the word from, essentially it's saying what is 7 minus then 3.5 you put over here. 3 out of 5, not 3.5. So what's 7 minus 3 out of 5? Okay. So we can do a couple of things. Normally what I will do is to have 6 and then put the fraction, and since the fraction that we are minusing off has a denominator 5, we're going to put 5 over 5, and then we minus 3 over 5. Okay, so this is a very straightforward fractions or whole number minus fraction. So since we have 5 minus 3 over here, then the answer should be 2 over 5. So if you want to have more steps, you just put 6, 5 minus 3 over 5. Okay, so y is 7 equal to 6, 5 over 5, right? So 5 over 5 over here, if you were to like simplify, it will be 6 plus one whole number, and this will become 7. Okay, so this is like a nice recap on what a whole number can become into a mixed number. Okay, and this is the answer. 6, 2 out of 5. All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, measure y. All right, so you have, there is this protractor over here. Okay, so you can just measure it. So usually when you have a protractor, then you see that there is two ends. Two ends means one starting here, the other one starting here. Okay, so always start from what number? 180 or 0? 0, right? So always start from 0, from 0 degrees when calculating angles, right? Okay, 0 degrees. So we only care about, if I were to just highlight, we only care about this part over here. Okay, this 40, 30. We don't really care about the other numbers. Okay, so now we know that we just need to start from 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then it's between 60 and 70. So you need to count what is the middle over here. So you can see that there is also a smaller, let's zoom in, a smaller line here. Okay, so you know this is 60, this is 70. So there is the middle part, which usually is represented as this little line over here. So since this is covered already, so that means this should be 65. So we can manually count. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Okay, so this is 65. Okay, so the answer for this is 65. Okay, 65 degrees. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so common mistake is this, to calculate from 180 over here. which is not what we want. We always want to start measuring from 0 degrees. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Right, name an acute angle, right? So it's not a kawaii angle, right? Uh, okay, I don't know if you know kawaii, but never mind. So what does acute angle means? Okay, so acute means less than 90 degrees angle. Okay, so in this case, it's actually pretty straightforward. This is in a way, I would say this is what they call this, a rhombus. Basically, a rhombus is where both sides or one side of the shape will equal to 180, and like for example, A is the same as B angle. So these are the same angle. So these are the same. Okay. But we can't assume that because it never says that here. But it doesn't matter. So name an acute angle. So essentially an acute angle is to less, right? Less than 90 degrees. Okay. So in this case, what is less than 90 degrees is either PQR or PSR. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Okay. It's not the other ones, right? So it can be PQR or PSR. All right. So you just name one lah, right? Because it says the word and. Okay, so just name one. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So complete the diagram such that ABCD is a rectangle. Label the point C in the diagram. So basically we need to count how many squares it's using. Okay, so generally we can just count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so in a way we can, let's put a highlight so we can see the triangle here, right? So what we can do is that then B also uses 3 by 1 rectangle as what you see over here. Okay, so what you can do is that you can, so how do we calculate the C, right? So the C is where you're going to make the rectangle. So what you can do is that since we know that, let's remove this. So this part takes 1 and 3 squares. So that means the other side over here does the same. So this means that you will take, put my highlighter, 1 and then 3 squares. Okay. So now we know that since this is the point over here, we can just draw the line. That's what you see over here. Okay. So let me remove the circle. So we just put the line over here. Okay. Now we know this is C, and then from point B to point C, we can just draw a straight line. That's what you see over here. And there you go. And that is how you draw a rectangle. All right. So that is how you should do it. Okay. So let's move on to the next question. Okay. It says here, how many triangles need to be shaded to go to be 5, 6 of the triangles that are shaded? All right, so we're gonna calculate how many triangles. Okay, so let's calculate. So I'm just gonna make this a bit easier to like group them. So you have 1, 2 rows, 3 rows, and 4 rows. Okay, 4 rows of triangle. So we have the, I call it the white triangle, and the what do you call this, the shaded triangle. So I just put shaded. Okay, so I'm gonna draw a line below like this. Okay, so it's easier for me to just put it like this, so at least I can calculate everything. Okay, so you can just count everything as what you see over here, and always put down, don't put it in your head, right? Always put down how much. Okay, so let's go through the first row over here. Okay, so the first row is 3 white triangle and 1 shaded one. Okay, we can count, right? 1, 2, 3 whites and 1 shaded. Okay, next let's go for the next row. Okay, the next row is one shaded and one, two, three, four. Four white triangles. So four white and one shaded. Okay, let's move on to the next triangle. So this is two shaded and two white. Okay, two shaded and two white. So we're gonna put here two white, two shaded. Then last one we have the three shaded and two white. Okay, so we put here two white and three shaded. Okay, so this is where you can actually have a better idea on what the number is. Okay, so we're gonna add all of this up. So we have 3 plus 4 plus 2 and 2. So this is 4, this is 8, this is 11. Okay, so this should be 11, and then after that we can calculate all of this as well. So this is what do you call this is 2, this is 4, and this is 7. Okay, so this is 7 shaded, 11 white. So you can say the total is 11 plus 7, and this is total will be equal to 18. Okay, so right now they want to have the fraction to be 5 out of 6, but the total or the whole part is 18. So what is 5 out of 6 equal to 18 as the denominator? Because we have 18 total, so basically we just need to multiply by 3 for the denominator. Okay, so that means we need 15 out of 18 triangles to be shaded. Okay, because it says here how many more triangles need to be shaded so that 5, 6 of the triangles are shaded. Okay, so when it says 5, 6, 15 over 18 must be shaded. So since we have 7, so what is 15 minus 7? This should be 8. So your answer should be 8. You need 8 more shaded triangles to become 15 over 18 or 5 over 6. All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, so Siti jogged 4 out of 5 kilometers. She jogged 3 out of 10 kilometers more than Tom. So how far did Tom jog? Okay, so first we need to know how much Siti has jogged. So Siti jogged 4 out of 5 kilometers. Okay, then the thing is that there is also, so Tom over here, she jogged 3 out of 10 more than Tom. So that means for Tom, when you see this, right? So that means she jogged more than Tom. So Tom jogged more or less than Siti? Less, right? So that means it is 4 out of 5 minus 3 out of 10. Okay. So this is what this whole sentence means, right? So Siti basically plus 3 out of 10 equal to Tom, right? So we know how much Siti has jogged over here. So that's why we put 4.5, and then we just minus 3 out of 10 to get Tom's, what do you call this, distance. So now we just need to know what is the smallest common multiple or denominator in this case. So the smallest one is basically 10, right? Since 5 can be equal to 10 by multiplying by 2. So we need to have multiply by 2 at the numerator as well. So 4 out of 5 will become 8 out of 10 minus 3 out of 10. Okay, so what would this equal to? 5 out of 10. Okay, so 5 out of 10 kilometers, or you can say half kilometer as well. Okay, so these are both correct. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, so the table describe the properties of different figures P, Q, and R. Which figure is likely to be a square? So what is a property of a square? So let me draw a square. Okay, so what is a property of a square? Okay, so over here, I think this is actually pretty straightforward. A square has all equal sides. So it's 4 equal sides and it's Q. So since this is a square, to be honest, the answer is Q. Yeah. Very straightforward, right? At the same time, if you want to go through the next few ones, has two pairs of parallel sides, which is correct. So parallel over here means that both sides are the same way, right? So this is the same way, this is the same way. Okay, and then has at least one right angle, right? Square, everything, every corner is a right angle. That's what I see over here. So Q is correct in this case, but the clue is in the first statement. Yeah. All right. Now let's move on to the next question. Okay, so this should be this should be straight, right? But I think we know how to in a way see this properly lah. But let's go through the question. In the rectangle below, x angle x is equal to angle y. Find angle x. Okay, so you can see that what is the whole angle over here, right? I don't know if you know. So the whole angle here is 90 degrees. Okay, so 90 degrees is equal to angle x plus angle y plus 60 degrees. Okay, because this whole angle over here, right? If you were to highlight every single thing over here, this is this is 90 degrees because a rectangle, all of the angles inside it is 90 degrees. So now we want to get the x and y over here. Okay, so that means we can actually minus lah, right? So we have 60 minus 90. So 90 degrees minus 60 degrees is equal to angle x plus angle y. So this 60, then this should be 30 degrees. Okay, is equal to angle x plus angle y. So since angle x is equal to angle y, what does that mean? That means, for example, if angle x is equal to 10, then angle y is equal to 10. Does that mean we can divide this, right? So since these are the same, we can just say angle x is equal to angle y, which is basically we can divide it by 2 lah, right? 30 divided by 2, or in simpler sense, I like to use fractions, but okay lah. Just put divide by 2 and this should be 15 degrees. And since angle y over here is equal to angle x, both are 15 degrees, the angle for x is 15 degrees. And there you go. This should be 15 degrees. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next section, section B over here. So let's start with question 11. Mrs. Tan sold some red and yellow roses. 2/9 of the roses sold were red. The rest of the roses sold were yellow. 16 red roses were sold. How many yellow roses did Mrs. Tan sell? Okay, so when you see this kind of question, right? So 2/9 of the rows were red. So when you see fraction of a part or whole part, that means the numerator is usually talking to the specific rows over here. So if 2 out of 9 of all roses is red, that means red roses is equal to, this is 2 units. All right. And then if you read more, 16 red roses were sold. So that means these 2 units is equal to 16 roses, right? So 2 units is equal to 16. So what is 1 unit? It's equal to 16 divided by 2, which is 8. Now, how many yellow roses did Mrs. Tan sell? So since we know there are 2 units, so what does this 9 mean? So 9 at the same time, total roses is equal to 9 units. So how many are there in terms of yellow? So yellow roses is equal to total minus red roses, which is 9 minus 2, 7. And 7, since we know this is 7 units, that means 1 unit over here is 8. Then what is 7 units? So 7 times 8, which is 56 roses. That's what you see over here. So that's the answer. The answer is 56 roses. Okay, there you go. They just put 56. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 12. So Jamie had 3 kg of flour. She used 3/10 of the kg of flour to bake a cake and 1/4 of the flour to bake cookies. What is the total mass of flour Jamie used? So basically, what did Jamie used over here? 3/10 plus 1/4. That's it. Pretty straightforward. So we just say 3 out of 10 plus 1 over 4. So the thing is that we need to know what's the lowest common multiple for both of them. Okay. So we have 10, 20, 30. This is 10. Then 4 is just 4, 8, 16. 4, 8, sorry, 12, 12, and then 20. Okay. So now we know that there is the common multiple of 20 over here. Okay. So that means this times 2 times 2 times this is 5 times 5. Okay. So this is 6 out of 20 plus 5 out of 20. And if you combine them, they should be 11 out of 20. So the answer is 11 out of 20. Okay. So you need to get the common multiple. Multiple. Or lowest common multiple. Okay. Let's move on to the next question, B. What is the mass of the flour left after baking the cake and cookies? Okay. So we know that we have used, so used is equal to 11 out of 20 kg. And then we had 3 kg of flour. Okay. So had 3 kg of flour. So what's left is basically this 3 kg had initially minus used. Okay. So basically 3 minus 11 out of 20. And this gives us what? Okay. So if we were to put 3 as 2, 20 out of 20 minus 11 out of 20. So this will be 2. So I just do step by step. 20, 11, right? Okay. 11 out of 20. And this will give 2, 9 out of 20. So it says here answer as a mixed number. So this is a mixed number. So this 2, 9 out of 20. There you go. All right. And the last question. Gopal spent 2 out of 11 of his money and saved the rest. He saved $749 more than the amount he spent. How much did he spend? Okay, so same thing. You see a fraction of his money. So you know that 2 out of 11 is spent. Okay, so that means this 2 over here is spent 2 units. Then what is the 11? The 11 is total money is 11 units. Okay, so how much did he save over here? He saved how many units? So 11 units minus 2 units, okay, is equal to 9 units. Okay, so we know how much he spent total and saved. The next thing is, so when you see this statement, he saved $749 more than he spent. So what does this mean? So let me just highlight. He saved then $749 more than spent. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to put this spent as another color. So I'm going to highlight this another color like purple, spent. And then in this case for saved, it's blue. Okay. So I'm just going to name this as A. So saved is A, B is spent. So when you see this, like for example, A, then you have the number, right? You have always a number more than B, right? In this case, A something more than B. What does this mean? That means A is equal to number. Let me erase this. Oops. Right? A is equal to number plus B. Okay, in this case. So as A is saved equal, what's the number? 749. Then more than is plus, B is what? Spent. And then we know that saved over here is 9 units and spent over here is 2 units. So we put a saved 9 units is equal to 749 plus 2 units. Okay, right? So we can just minus the 2 units from the 9 units. Okay, so 7 units or 9 units. Let me erase this. 9 units minus 2 units equal to 749. This should be 7 units equal to 749. Then what is 1 unit? Is equal to 749 divided by 7, which is equal to 107. Then they want to know how much he spent in this case. So he spent 2 units. So that means spend over here, I can go down a bit. So spend is equal to 2 units. So which is equal to 2 times. So 1 unit we know already is 107. So it's 2 units times 107 equal to $214. Okay, so the answer is $214. And that's it. So that is the answers for all of the questions in this weighted assessment 2 from Raffles Girls Primary School for Primary 4 Mathematics. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want more on this kind of video, subscribe down below and comment down what other papers you want me to go through next. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.